folks. About to get some rain. All right, we're out here. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today we're going to do a 15,000 mile service on Devin's Harley Davidson. Change the oil, check over everything, check the belt tension, check the brakes, check everything else you do in a 15,000 mile service. And I'm going to slap it up here on the lift. Devin's going to fire it up. And before he does that, you guys should click the like button, like the video, subscribe down below, leave a comment. And let's fire this thing up. Bring it on in. That should be tight enough. Why don't you get that torque spit out, Bob?
I'm not doing this for them. Every man should know how to service their own Harley.
Oh, did you just call people who get their oil changed at a dealer not men?
Yes.
Woo!
There we go. You can use a 1/4-inch drive so he doesn't strip it.
That would be fantastic. No power tools. Ow!
No power
What do
tool.
you do that for? Hit it!
Alright guys, once again, thanks for watching. We hope you hit that subscribe button. So today, as Graham mentioned, I'm going to show you, or we're going to show you, 15K service on really any Harley Davidson model. We're going to start with the fluid change because that's every 5,000. And from there, it's a lot of just visual inspection. But I laid out, I think, everything you need for tools. I mean, it's your basic hand tools. You can see I got all my Harley oil. I'm trying the new gear oil. I used to run the red shift before that, so we're gonna give that a try in the primary and the transmission. Primary cover gasket, oil filter, obviously funnels, and then your basic hand tools. It's a 5/8 socket for the drain plugs, T27 Torx on the primary cover. Then otherwise I have some inspection tools here, flashlight for checking out the brakes. We're gonna check tire pressure. This is a cool little gadget. I think you can get one on Amazon. It is a moisture sensor or tester for your brake fluid. Anything over 3%, you should check your it's no bueno for your brake fluid.
And I think Harley recommends flushing them every 2 years anyways.
Correct. I don't think we're quite at that at 15K, but we're going to check it. Doesn't have to be Harley branded, but you really want an oil filter wrench. Where Harley puts theirs, it's just kind of a pain in the ass to get to.
It's got the little notch in it.
So you want this. That notch keeps you from scratching everything. Gonna need an extension with that. See, I did forget something.
No, the notch keeps you from, there's a spot you got to get around the crank position sensor.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I remember that. We learned that. And another specialty funnel for filling your primary. Don't need it, but for a few bucks, it's worth it. This whole service, usually they quote around $500 at the dealership. So if you got some basic stuff in an hour of your time, you can do it yourself and still be good rolling down the road. In materials, oil has gone up, no surprise. It's $143 worth of oil, but that's all 3 holes. So I do
3 holes.
technically the transmission and the primary only have to be done every 10K, but to make it easy, I like to just do everything every 5K. So the bike's warm. I got back from a ride a little while ago. It's up on the lift, obviously, so we're gonna get all the fluids draining, and obviously that's step number uno.
How you doing?
All right, I'm gonna do the primary first because it's the easiest. So drain plug is right at the bottom of the primary. Again, your 5/8 socket helps put it in reverse.
Yeah, you got to loosen it, Devin.
It is worth noting that you can use an Allen. Devin will show you the...
Yeah, you can use an Allen key or a socket.
But I don't trust the Allen keys.
I don't
This
either.
doesn't matter, but...
Watch, this is where you get burned.
So there is an Allen key there, but Allen keys are actually something I need to invest in a better set of because mine are pretty tired. So you see the little O-ring on the plug there? That comes in the bag with the O-rings the dealer gives you. So we're gonna replace that for
That's the magnet.
a little over 5K and some Sturgis miles still on here from last year, I think. That's actually not too shabby. So just a little bit of dirt there. So we'll let this drain and we'll get the cover off next. So as I mentioned, I'd probably forget a tool. Little hook, pick never hurts.
Hook.
So you see all the O-rings they give you. My hands are already all oily. We're gonna change the O-ring on this drain plug. Well, that's draining. The large red gasket is your primary cover gasket. So we're just gonna change this O-ring out for good practice. Hook makes it easy. And clean a little bit of metal off.
Just clutch
A
material.
little bit of clutch. And that's ready to go back in. All right, now that that's done dripping, put the plug back in, obviously. And then with the T27 Torx, we're gonna take the primary cover off. You see, I do have my rather large 3/8 ratchet out. That's just because I like that ratchet. Do not put a ton of
Grande.
force on tightening this. I mean, just snug. It's not gonna drip. Don't be that guy that over tightens that. Now that that's back in, T27 Torx, we'll take the primary cover off. Careful with these, they like to strip. So it also goes with the mentality of don't over tighten it when you put them back.
No power tools.
No power tools for sure. Alright, so pull this primary cover off. You know, this is where if you bought that fancy primary cover, you can put it on. Or if your buddy left one at your house, you can steal his and put it on your bike.
Oh yeah, we should do that.
So, that gasket, go back to my little hook here. Gasket almost sits in here sideways if you look, like sits in there in depth. Pull the gasket out, put that in the scrap pile. And I don't think there's a top or bottom to this, so you want to put your gasket right back in the groove.
Whoops.
It's got these couple little tabs that give it just a little bit of pressure to hold it in there. So,
Now you gotta grab your funnel.
grab our fancy little funnel here.
I'm gonna grab a quart of oil.
Have your assistant grab your quart of oil.
Assistant, I'm supervising.
Clean all the schmutz off of it.
What is that called?
So, visual inspection here.
Schmutz.
Clutch springs, everything looks tight.
You said looks tight.
Did you just check the tightness with your fingers?
Yes,
Perfect.
it's not backed out or anything. Is that part of the inspection? I don't know.
Clutch still has enough movement.
There you go.
Oh yeah. She good.
So this takes a whole quart here. We're gonna, like I said, trying new Harley's new gear oil. 80 weight.
I have it in my bike. It's awesome.
It is a lot better.
I was
than
running the red
Sim 3.
line before. I think I said red shift, but I was running the red line before. Not a bad option, but these guys have been raving about Harley's oil, so I'm gonna give it a whirl.
Yeah, it's not bad.
This fancy little funnel just makes life easier right there.
You got that right at the dealership, right?
I think so.
Yep, that's a
Couple
Harley
bucks.
tool.
It is Harley branded, so you know it's
Special
expensive.
tools. Glug, 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 glug.
A regular funnel does work if you have a small one.
Okay, Primary takes a full quart. Don't be shy, dump it right in there. Once that's done draining, visually you can see it's just kind of below, maybe a 1/4 inch below where it would want to leak out. And that's how you know where your fill level is. So clean the surface for the gasket here and put it back just the opposite way it came off. I always like to tighten things kind of with mental like you would if you're tightening lug nuts.
Star
pattern. But we'll just get them all started and then we'll torque them to spec. All right, so Harley's torque spec on this is actually 108 to 120 inch-pounds, which is 9 to 10 foot-pounds. So as I said earlier, you want to tighten it in a star pattern and snug these up. I got mine set right about 108. I don't want to go too tight or strip them. So we'll torque these down and move on to the next thing. How we doing? All right, now that the primary is done, we got our 1/4 of fluid in there. We're gonna drain the transmission, which is this plug again, 5/8 straight down. So, well, that was a little loose. That's why you check these things.
Who put it in last time?
Oh, me. So I got nobody yelling at myself. Well, feels a little loose with, you know, a 12-inch wrench on it. It's not actually that loose.
That's not a 12-inch wrench. It's like a 15.
Maybe that wasn't loose. I had to bash these tools off your frame. Not that it matters down there. Struggle with your fingers. Keep a rag handy.
I got your rag.
Graham's gonna pull the pan in once I pull the plug.
Yeah, we're gonna make a mess, I can tell.
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
Ready?
Oh,
There's your nice red line from last time. So also quart there, and then the same process with the O-ring. Just use your little pick and change the O-ring on this plug. Well, that's draining, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And the other thing you can do is you can crack the fill plug, which will make it drain faster.
yeah.
There.
We did do that. We loosened this guy is loose, and the oil is loose.
How we doing?
Hey!
Wait, this car goes by. All right, for the real newbies, just in case, that is your oil dipstick. That is your transmission. It's a 3/8 Allen. So we're gonna crack that open, let it drain easier. All right, don't scratch anything. Don't burn yourself.
Hot bike.
Better yet, burn yourself. Be a man.
Hot bike.
So I'm just gonna leave that cracked while that's draining. And
We're good.
go put that other O-ring on. All right, so this is the transmission plug. Same plug as the oil pan. This magnet was super clean. I wiped it before I showed you, but there was like nothing on this. So same process again. We're gonna change the O-ring and then shrimp brake.
Shrimp break.
Oh yeah.
I could go for some shrimp.
We'll go see Chef Bobby. He used to be a McChef. People didn't know that. Bobby actually used to be a McChef like 15 years ago. So he's over there working on my flat top. We'll go check on the shrimp.
Nuggets.
Well, the fluids are draining.
All right. Bobby cheated. He beat us to it. Look at that bowl of shrimp.
Ready?
Shrimp!
I can eat a shrimp too.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome back. You guys probably didn't go anywhere, but I went and ate some shrimp. So now that your mercury levels are up, putting the drain plug back in for the transmission, wherever that went.
Can't find the hole.
I can't find the hole. For real, where did it go?
Back.
Right there.
Right there.
Now I'm just panicking. Oh my God.
First day.
There it is. Kind of a weird spot.
Found the hole.
My hands are rather greasy. So we're gonna tighten this
you
up.
missed the drain plug. Or you missed the freaking pan.
Only a little bit. It happens. That's what rags are
A
for.
little bit of spillage.
Everything's a little greasy. So we'll get this closed back up, and it is 1 quart in transmission. So I'll see you on the top side.
I'm a cow.
This guy's just crunching on chips the whole time over here.
All right.
All right. We got our quart transmission fluid.
Quart.
Use a regular skinny funnel. That's kind of self-explanatory. It's a little bit of a tricky spot with the, if you got the heat shields like I do. So this is the 80 weight again. Those guys are running, what are you guys running? They didn't have this separate stuff that for the primary, but this is rated for transmission, primary chain case, lubricant. So we're running it in both. See how she does.
Same oil that you get at your local Citgo.
So 1 quart, I'll probably go 3/4 and
Devin, it's the wrong hole.
check the level. Not the first time I've heard that.
It's a good pour. Did you taste it?
That's only you that does that.
I like to. You got to taste your oil. It's the blood of your motorcycle.
So, with the full quart in the transmission, we're gonna move right on to the oil. You can check it on your dipstick, but I put the whole quart in there.
Now you're thinking with your dipstick.
Yeah, let's think with our dipsticks. Oh, little grease. I don't know if you can see that. It's right on there.
That's good.
So that was the 3/8 Allen. We'll tighten that up and on to the last fluid. So we meet again. She rolling?
Oh
All right. Last hole. It's getting kind of redundant. Your oil plug is the plug that is facing forward. Still 5/8. I grabbed a ratchet wrench here.
yeah. All the holes.
So we're gonna drain the oil and get this show on the road. So we'll check out what this last plug looks like. I think this one has a magnet too. Change the O-ring as you guys already saw. Like I said, a little redundant at this point, but we'll walk you through it. The oil. Same thing, that magnet.
It's pretty dirty.
That magnet's pretty clean. That's a good sign. So I'm gonna wipe this down, change the O-ring while that drains. So, the worst part about this entire job, for some reason, since 1903, they couldn't figure out a better spot to put the oil filter. As you know, your oil filter's up front there. They make a little filter that's supposed to, or I'm sorry, funnel that's supposed to channel the oil out. But no matter what you do, it makes a big mess. So here's that oil filter wrench I mentioned earlier. This little notch here is actually so that you don't bang your crank position sensor. So
It's down there somewhere. Right there. You
trick
want
is
to
to
take
kind
that
of
off.
fit this in just like that, avoiding the crank position sensor. And just crack the filter loose with it.
That thing's tight.
Which I know I didn't tighten it that much, so that's the scary part.
Must tighten by itself.
They usually seem to get tight. So that just goes to show there's really, you'd be mangling the hell out of this thing with channel locks or something if you don't have this little filter wrench. So I highly suggest getting the filter wrench.
Look at those muscles.
I can't believe how tight that thing is.
Q-tips.
Why'd you put that on there so tight?
I didn't.
Who did?
At this point, we're gonna try to get some rags in there, something. Stop the mess. There is no stopping the mess.
There's no stopping it now.
We got our new filter ready to go on. Came pre-dented, but we're gonna run it.
On the discount shelf.
Someone must have dropped it. Looks like it was banged up. A little bummed about that, but what are you gonna do? Looks good from my house. Oh, this is my house.
Wow.
Got the old filter off here. Get the O-ring wet on the new one. It's
Put
not
dirty oil on.
Not leaking as much as I thought. So we're gonna try to finagle this in here. This is where it's actually nice to use a wrench once again. You see that in there? And thread your filter on. Just the opposite of the way it came off. Do not over tighten it. Just hand snug.
See what you're doing?
Stop moving the camera around.
And that's that.
Got the drain plug back in. So I'm running the Syn 3 synthetic 20 weight. They used to recommend, I think it was either 4 or 4.5 quarts, and then I don't know, in the last year they're now suggesting 5 quarts, and that they redesigned the oil filter for more capacity. It's probably because of the stupid EPA system blowing oil out your air cleaner. But I'm gonna put 4 quarts in and then start to check on the dipstick, and then we'll get it at the right level. If you look at your dipstick, on the newer models, they actually give you everything. They give you full hot and full cold. So at this point, we'll do full cold because the bike's been cooling off a bit. I mean, it's the room temperature.
Focusing.
So let's get some oil on this thing so we can move on to the next part.
Glug, glug, glug.
Can you see? All right, put 4 3/4 in. And before we go to 5, we'll check it on the dipstick. Like I said, they're newly saying you can put 5 quarts in these things. It's probably just an extra quart to spit out with the air cleaner. And let's see. We're just below vehicle upright check screwed in. So if we screw it all the way in, but it also hasn't filled the oil filter yet, which holds a good amount now.
Why are you breathing like that?
So it's a little shy from check full upright, so I'm gonna put the last of 5 quarts in and just calls for 5 quarts. I'm putting 5 in. So we'll put the last bit of this oil in, and we'll check it one more time after we run it, and then we're gonna get cleaned up, and then we're gonna do more of the inspection part of the process, which is more of the 15K interval, but that completes your 3-hole fluid change. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in a minute. How we doing? Oh, you want me to do this?
You said let me do a transition.
Again, 3-hole fluid change is done. So we did the oil, primary, and transmission, all fresh fluids. What I like to do, being OCD that I am, keep a little maintenance record just to keep track. So you see I got all my oil changes here. My last one was 5,300 miles. I had one done in Sturgis that I did not write down last year, so shame on me. 15K, dated, 3-hole change, good to go. So
Most people put that on their phones or their computers.
I'm old school in that way. So we'll let Bob talk about what is next for inspection, but everything next is more of a visual inspection. We're gonna check major things like the belt, brakes, clutch, but we'll turn it over to Bob and get started.
All right, so as Devin said, he's going to throw it over to me, which is a big mistake because I'm going to prepare his bike for the rest of the season. Well, at least for the next 5K. So we got an assortment of tools here. They're just things to check, things to look over. Hopefully your bike doesn't need anything, but the reason we check is so that hey, people showed up. We're going to have to cut when they come in. Now that the interruptions are gone, we can get back to what we were talking about. So the best way to do this is front to back. Go through everything pretty much straight in a row. Hang on one second. Michelle, go in the house. That's better. Graham, stop.
Aye.
All right, now we'll get back to what we were doing. Okay, Graham's gonna actually stop. Nope. Okay, we'll figure that out. All right, so the first thing you want to do is your tires, front of the bike. Two things you're gonna do with the tires is check the tread depth and check the air pressure. I don't like doing the air pressure up here in the wheel chock because it's squeezing really hard on that tire. I think it might give you a false reading. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just how I've always done it. So this one will actually, the air pressure at least will be checked on the ground. The second thing is the depth. We do have a depth gauge somewhere.
Tread depth?
Yes, tread depth.
No.
And then,
No.
or I should say, for these tires though, I know we're fine because these are relatively new. You only have.
So I actually got tires brand new at the end of the year because everybody was talking about tire shortage. I ran them, got them probably 1,000 miles early.
So
those are fresh tires on there. But I can say I actually know my front tire is low because my light came on the other day. If you have
Ultra guys.
an Ultra or a Limit or anything, the pressure sensor is actually very touchy. I think it calls for 38 pounds. Mine's reading like 36, 37. It's got a light on. So I'm not really worried about the tire, but it's enough that I got to put some air in it to get the light off. Even though the dealer was nice enough to fill mine with nitrogen, I'm still going to put a squirt of air in there.
Not supposed to mix them. All right, so then the next thing you're going to want to do, working back, which you would normally do, tire pressure, as we said, and tread depth, is you're going to check your brakes. Flashlight, look from the front. You can see both. I can't see because I have glasses on. You can check both sides, see how much pad you have left. Get your head in right. Yep. He's going to need brake pads probably at the next service, but they're not bad. Actually, nope, nope, that one's good. That one's good. And then we just keep working our way back. Get on my tools so I don't have to keep walking back. Going on this side, make it easier. Then as you work your way back, you want to be looking for fasteners. So I like to touch them and make sure none of them are actually like loose. Just run a finger across them. Plus, this bike's black, so it'll give him something to clean later with all my fingerprints on there. I like to just, give everything a good, as I go back, shake, check.
Another check you should be doing if you detail your bike yourself, that's a good time to look over every inch of it.
Yeah, exactly.
As you're cleaning it, just keep an eye out for stuff.
Exactly. So you want to work your way back. Since it's up on a lift, I'm going to stay low. We'll do the handlebar stuff after once it's down. But coming back here, you're going to want to check your air filter, clean it if it's a cleanable one. If it's the OEM one, you probably should replace it if it's dirty. This one started off red, now it's black, so it's probably pretty dirty. Have you ever cleaned this before?
I have. It needs to be cleaned. I'm not going to show a segment how to clean it. It's pretty simple. I mean, these 4 bolts come out.
Nobody's got that air filter. That one's hideous.
I got the K&N cleaning products. I'll show you.
No, cut that out.
I use this right here. It's got some good detergent for cleaning the air filter. I clean it right in the kitchen sink. My wife yells at me, and then re-oil it after it dries. Let it dry for 24 hours. Put it back onto the bike.
He was dropped as a baby. Okay, so as you're going back and you're looking over things that you're going to check, like I said, run your finger over everything. Just, you don't have to check every nut and bolt, but you're going to want to look for stuff that may vibrate. Floorboards, foot pegs, brake caliper bolts, things that may move over time. Simple stuff like that. A lot of these little things, these doodads that Ultra Limited guys have,
easy there.
like to fall off. Well, at least on the older ones. The new ones are a little bit better, or they're just not up to the mileage yet. But then once you get a little bit further back, you're going to actually, below it, I should say, is your brake fluid reservoir. I think Devin talked about this at the airplane. Okay, now coming right back because we were rudely interrupted by a helicopter flying over.
Get to the chopper.
Yeah, so what I was saying is brake fluid, Devin mentioned earlier. It's good to have one of these. I got this one on Amazon. I think it was cheap. I think it was like $10. But this basically checks how much water is in your brake fluid. And over time, because I think these are .4, are well, what's the word for it when they absorb air or water from the air? I forget what it's called, but science, you know. They do get water content, and then they don't. The fluid doesn't work as well. And Harley does recommend you change it every 2 years. So this bike is not quite 2 years, but it'll be 2 years this fall. So we might as well check it now. And we're gonna go ahead and pop this off. Check that. Pop the cover off. It's right behind the brake arm right there. So
Rear cylinder.
we'll do that. And while we're doing, since there's 2 of us here, we'll make good use of our time. While Devin's taking this cover off here so we can check it, I'll keep going and just checking fasteners down this side of the bike. Just by hand, you know, I check if your exhaust is not hot. You can check, you know, make sure you have nothing backing off. Check your heat shields on your exhaust, things like that. Check the clamp, make sure everything's still tight. Just a once over, that's all you're doing. But we'll pop that cover off, and then we'll check the moisture content in the brake fluid. All right, so Devin graciously took off the cover for me because I'm not getting brake fluid on his bike, and I'm not being responsible for that. So what we'll do is we'll check the brake fluid. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Devin. You are on the edge of needing to change that. You're at 2%. Harley calls for 3, which is pretty standard. You're pretty close. You may want to consider doing that soon.
So my actual answer would probably be something I would address in a 20K service. As we said earlier, 15K service is a lot of just inspection. I feel like 20K really gets more involved.
Oh, you're right on the edge, man. That 3% light is flickering.
Yeah, I like to party.
And like I said, like at the beginning, this isn't my bike, so if it doesn't stop, I will wave as Devin goes by. So we just put the cover back on, the brake fluid. Devin needs 2 hands to do that. So the next thing we're gonna do is, because this is a limited, Ultra's Unlimited is liquid cooled, because they're too good for
Liquid cool heads.
regular people. So they want you to check, watch this. Look at, I pulled that right off. But this cover just pops right off. There's just these plastic tabs. And there's your reservoir. Get a nice shot in there. For your coolant, they want you to just check the level. Make sure you're not low.
Which we are right at full.
Air cooled if you're low.
Cold. So we are at perfect coolant level. So visual inspection complete.
So we can slap this cover back on. He looks good there. All right. If you're doing the 30K, I know this is only the 15, but if you're doing the 30, you're going to want to replace your spark plugs per Harley. Being a Milwaukee 8, you have 4, so you do have to take your gas tank off. Maybe when this bike gets to 30, we'll do a video. It's actually very simple to take these gas tanks off. It's a lot easier than you'd think. So we'll do that, but that's the only way to get in here at these 2, I would call them inner more, center more spark plugs, but the other, you know, where the traditional ones are on the other side, you can get to without the tank. So we don't have to worry about that right now, and we'll just keep moving back. I like to just throw a finger on the electrical connectors that are exposed here, temp sensors, starter plug, things like that. All right, like I said, when he was doing the brake, I came down here, checked all the fasteners on the exhaust, and that basically finishes this side, other than I have to stick my head up under there and check the rear brake pads. So like I said before, I stick my head up under here and check the rear brake pads, which I actually took a look before Devin hit film or hit go on the camera. They look pretty good. Good amount of pad. He's probably going to need them within the next 10K. So not terrible, but he's getting close.
No uneven wear on the rotor. Anything like that.
Nope. One of the other things I do, I glance at just to make sure your axle nut has a C-clip on the end of it, just to prevent the nut from completely coming off. When I'm under here, I always glance just to make sure that that's still there.
Which it is.
Yep.
Now, the one item I really wanted to check. Drive belt.
I was to say, you didn't tell me what you really wanted to check before we started this. All right, so the drive belt. Devin wants to make sure that this is in spec. because he's usually hauling heavy loads and he doesn't want to have a blowout while towing. So I will grab the tool if I know where I put it. All right, so we got this handy dandy belt tension gauge. You can get these all over the internet.
Amazon special.
Yeah, and most of them are set to 10 pounds because that's usually the standard. This one actually goes just to 10. So, but basically what we want to check here is Harley gives you this nice window. And I believe, I'm not positive, but I believe that is set to the spec that Harley Davidson gives you. And the deflection is 10 pounds of pressure on this gauge. And you want to check to make sure you're in between 5/16 deflection and 3/8. So we're going to check that right now. So you want to come up right by the window. Now it tells you where to press. Right to the line. And he is centered in that window. And I can visually see that that wasn't more than the deflection they call for. He's right in that window. When you start getting up here, that's when you're going to need either tighten or replace your belt. All right, so now that we've checked the belt, keep moving forward. While I'm back here too, I like to just glance again at hardware, make sure nothing's visually backing out, or you can grab it and spin it by hand. That's certainly a problem. But I keep going through, just make sure everything's tight. One of the other ones that you want to keep an eye on is this shift linkage here. This shift linkage, when it starts wearing out, you'll notice it probably before you get to a service, but basically you'll start hearing this rattle and vibrate. This one is rubber mounted, so it may be a while. Like if you hear that rattling, you may get to the point where it really needs to be replaced. And usually the common failure on these is actually the socket will wear out and it'll fall off. And then if it falls off, you're in a world of trouble if you're not by your house. You'll be reaching down on this lever to try and shift. So just keep an eye on that, check them, make sure there's no noise or anything when you move them. Check your shift pedal, floorboards, things like that. Just keep going forward.
I think one of the other things I mentioned is you want to check your fuel connections, because these are actually quick disconnects, but you would know if you're leaking. And like Bobby mentioned, spark plugs are due at 30K, but it doesn't hurt to give a quick inspection to the boots. I actually had one of these replaced on the bike already. That was the only issue I've had. One of the boots just came out of the zip tie and then was rubbing on the rear cylinder and arced out. And I actually had them fixed under warranty, not because I can't handle fixing a spark plug wire, but you got a warranty. I figured use it.
Yep. So, and then we're pretty much back at the front of the bike here for the lower stuff. Obviously, if you're doing this on the floor, not everyone has a lift table. You can do the hand controls and things related to that while it's on the ground, but we're just going to wait and do it once the bike's back down. The other thing I skipped on the back because I said we're going to roll it out is I didn't check the rear tire pressure. You're obviously going to want to do that when you're back there, but once it's off the table and the front wheel's free, so I can do them at the same time, so if they need air or anything, we can check them from there. But that's basically the lower stuff for the 15K. From there, we will go to the hand controls and we'll get this thing on the ground first. Okay, bike's on the ground now. A little bit easier to work on the stuff up top. Two things I forgot when we were down below. Harley wants you to check your axle nuts, the torque on them. So we can throw a torque gauge or a. Right. Harley wants you to check and make sure your axle nuts are still torqued. We can throw a torque wrench on them. I've personally never done that. I've never found them to loosen up, but if Harley tells you to do it, somebody probably has. So that's one thing. The other thing I didn't mention is the, excuse me, the kickstand. Tony, his stepfather, actually lost his kickstand riding. So when you're down there, you may want to just throw a wrench or a socket on the top of the kickstand here and just verify that that's still tight so it doesn't fall off, because if it falls off, you're stuck on your bike till somebody can bring you one. And also, sometimes these get a little noisy and a little hard to put up, so you can throw a little WD or any lubricant on the spring on the backside here, both ends, and it'll help free it up and quiet down that creaking. So we should have done that while it was up in the air, but hey, we're human. Next, we have the hand controls. One of the things Harley wants to do, Devin doesn't have his key, I bet. He doesn't. Is to verify the lights. You don't need to see that. You just want to go around the bike. Oh, he actually has his key. Closer. You're going to want to verify that your lights are working. So you want to go around, blinker, blinker, headlights.
Well, that'd be a running light.
Blinker. We're in New England.
Yeah, but that's running light status right now.
High beams. Come around back. Check all the ugliness that an Ultra or Limited has. Verify that's working. Devin, can you verify the brakes?
Oh yeah.
You don't need to, I can sit next.
Nice upgrade from Custom Dynamics. Shout out to
Are you
those
trying to get
guys.
sponsorship?
Yeah, why not?
As we were talking about before, get a shot of that.
So this has been on for a day. So yeah, gotta take care of that.
All right, so now that we verified all the lights are working, one of the things Harley asks you to do, or recommends that you do, is check all your hand controls. You want to make sure they're tight. I can feel that these are really tight. I don't need to throw a Torx on there and snug them up. I can feel that those aren't going anywhere right now. It's something you'd probably notice immediately if they were getting loose, because you're riding your hands around these. The other thing is check the play and the throttle. I know that's as good as we can get him with these bars specifically, so he'll have to live with that. This is throttle by wire, so as long as it twists, it'll work. Unless you have an electrical issue, that's a whole separate thing. You can throw a little bit of lubricant if these are a little sticky or a little rough to pull in on your clutch and brake lever. These are, as Devin's showing, he has GT85.
Get to it.
So much. Oh, I'll do it. Again, folks, this isn't my bike, so I'm not going to put anything here to catch any overspray. You want me to send this? I'm not going to put anything under it. You can do this on your own time.
So yeah, that's where we would lubricate. I prefer this GT85 stuff. I usually put that in all my moving parts, levers, even keyholes, hinges.
Is this an ad for GT85?
Foot peg, mounts, because I put my passenger pegs up and down. Anything that moves, that's the stuff I prefer to use. It's got good water repellent. It's said to not attract the dirt and dust like WD might.
Back to the original plan. And then while you're up here, you're supposed to check the levels of your hydraulic. If you have a hydraulic clutch, I know the new ones went back to cable. So some of you might not have to worry about that, or the older ones, pre-13. So this is a 2020, right? That's what you bought.
Yeah, man.
So you have to check the level of your hydraulic fluid for your clutch, and for the front brakes, even though they're linked, they want you to check the moisture content in these and the level. You do have the sight glasses. You only have the sight glasses on the brake. So this one you'll have to actually take the cover off to verify.
So we're full there.
Yep, but we can verify the moisture content, which... All right. So that pretty much finishes it. Like I said, we're going to do the tire pressure front and rear. Plus, I can't even reach the stem on the back one, so I couldn't even show you guys if I wanted to. We're going to roll it off the lift, verify the tire pressures. I don't think you need to stick around to see that. If you don't know how to check your tire pressure, there's a lot more YouTube videos you got to watch than this one. So we're going to put the bag on, move it out back, but that pretty much summarizes what a 15K would be by your dealership. And you're saving a little bit of money doing it yourself. If you don't feel confident, definitely go to a dealership. But if you have a little bit of mechanical know-how, you can certainly knock this out yourself and save $300. That's usually the savings around here. Other than that, the last step of anything is road test it. And you can do that another day because nighttime's coming. But that's it. Remember, like and subscribe. Throw a comment down. Let us know if you've done this or if we missed anything, or if there's something that you like to do. when you're doing a service on your bike that we didn't mention that other people might find helpful. But other than that, thanks for watching. Like I said, smash that subscribe button. We appreciate everyone that's liking and subscribing and following us. It definitely helps. And other than that, that's Tony.
Is it time for Laconia yet?
Getting close. 30 days. All right. Adios, amigos.